my good friend Bridget Phetasy. How are you?
How are you? First of all, just wanted to say I'm so sorry for your loss, you and Stu and everybody at the Blaze. No, you're all.
Thank you.
It's not that far out.
Yeah, I know.
And I just wanted to say I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
But I'm good. You know, life is crazy.
I know. Every time I talk to you, something new has happened where I'm like, that's not the Bridget I know. That's not the Bridget I know. I'm anxious to hear where you stand on this Riyadh Comedy Festival.
Oh, it's so interesting, isn't it? It reminds me, I just keep thinking of that Ricky Gervais monologue that he did years ago where he said, if ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent. I mean, it becomes more relevant somehow every year, that monologue that he did. And I don't know. I think comedians got too rich, and maybe we all need to just, I mean, I'm not rich like them, but maybe comedians in general just need to go back to being kind of viewed as dumb losers again. I think some of these guys are out over their skis a little bit, and they got really huge, and now, I don't know, maybe this is a challenge for them to push the limits because they can say whatever they want in America. So going to Saudi is like, ooh, a little dangerous, a little titillating.
I don't know. They all had to sign documents that they wouldn't, make fun of religion. They wouldn't make fun of Saudi Arabia, wouldn't make fun of the royal family, et cetera, et cetera. My thought on this, if we went to these same comedians and said, hey, we'll pay you the same amount of money. We want to do a Washington, D.C. Trump comedy, weekend. Would these guys have signed the same exact thing? No, they wouldn't have. They wouldn't have. No. And everybody would have been out of their mind crazy on the left saying, look, Donald Trump wants to shut people down, wants to shut down anybody. You can't make fun of his family. Well, it's impossible. He's not going to do it. None of these comedians would have done that. None of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done it. And I'm not wealthy, but there's really no amount of money that you could have paid me to do that, only because I think if I'm somebody out there who's screaming women and screaming about the rights of women and how we should be fighting for people like the women in Saudi Arabia who have no real voice or as many rights as we do, then it would be very hypocritical for me to go stand on that stage and say whatever I want. I also think they're getting paid to legitimize these people. That's what they're getting paid. The quotes that are coming out of there, every quote I see, I was like, wow, the Saudis got their money's worth. Like, oh, the royals loved it. It's just like, if you're trying to justify your appearance in Saudi Arabia, the quote, the royals were very happy, is not great coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, and I love the fact, again, Chappelle said, he's, what, America hasn't killed people? Yeah, the Saudi prince has killed people. What, we haven't? Please give it a rest, because you don't just write it off like that in America. You know what I mean? You don't just like, so what, our government has just killed a few people. You don't, but you're going to do it here because you're getting a big paycheck.
Yeah, I hear this argument a lot. Oh, how is this any different than the government? You can't fix that kind of stupid. I won't even deal with it, because it's like listening to a 19-year-old in their first year of college who just smoked a bong. Like, okay, Saudi Arabia and America are the same. Tell me more about your enlightened anti-American thoughts. Like, all right, go live in Saudi Arabia then. Like, let me know how that works out for you. Try making fun of the royal family. Try making fun of the journalist or anything that they said that you can't make fun of. Go let me know how that works out for you, and something more than the 3 days that you spent there viewing. I mean, a lot of it's so like, oh, they have McDonald's and Starbucks. This was some of the quotes coming from Bill that I was kind of like, yeah, so this is like Tucker eating McDonald's in Russia. Like, okay, That doesn't mean that these places are the same. I don't know what's happening.
Coca-Cola was served to the Nazis in Germany up until like 1942. Hey, we're just like you. No, you're not. No, you're not. That Coke bottle doesn't make you us.
I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on. But again, I am of many minds about this because I have been at venture capitalist events and the Saudis have been there. And I don't know, why should Jared Kushner be allowed to make money with the Saudis and not the comedians?
Right.
Like you said in the opening.
Kind of,
I mean, I think it's funny how much less the comedians got paid than the golfers. Pretty significantly. The golfers are getting tens of millions. The comedians are getting like hundreds of thousands to $1 million to sell their soul out. And I don't know. That's also funny to me. I'm like, they offered the golfers a lot more than you guys.
The thing with you said it earlier, the hypocrisy. They don't understand. It's like they have they never listen to that "One of These Things Doesn't Belong" song on Sesame Street. I mean, with Jimmy Kimmel, listen to what Shane Gillis said about Jimmy Kimmel's return. Listen.
It was good to see everybody stick up for him for free speech, and I'm just glad they were all there for me back in 2019. He's my brother and being canceled now. He was canceled for what was that, 48 hours? Yeah. Mine was a couple years, but no big deal. What's the difference?
You had to hold tight. Probably a very nice kind of modern house on the hills in LA. You had to sit there and just.
You mean he didn't have to lay on a mattress in Queens with two snarky roommates that were like, "Oh, did you write that apology?" Yeah, I could tell. Like, what the
Oh, Shane, I love him so much.
I
just love him. I mean, look, I also feel, and I saw this on Will Kane, when it feels like the world is ending and everything is coming undone, I understand people just grabbing as much cash as they can. And look, some of these comedians were not hugely famous and have been struggling for a long time. And like Shane mentioned, you're sleeping on a mattress on the floor for many, many years before you even make it in comedy, if you even make it. And so I don't know. It's like, get that bag, but you're gonna have to hear about this forever. This is gonna. There are people who I think for some of these guys it did real damage to their brand or whatever. Some more than others.
Bridget, I'm of two minds on this because I get the criticism, what we've been talking about, like, the stuff that Chappelle said and stuff. Like, I don't like it, and I think it's kind of silly. But I also saw a lot of the pushback from like the high-minded, I'm better than all of you people comedians. That
I know.
And I saw David Cross did some of this. It's like there's a bunch of people who did it. And it's
You're
like
a big fan of David Cross.
I loved. I mean, I'm a Mr. Show junkie from back in the day. But like, it's just like, okay, I get it. But I don't understand why there is a double standard for entertainers in this world. Like, all sorts of American companies sell products in these countries. As you mentioned, tons of investors do business in Saudi Arabia. I mean, Saudi Arabia is, again, this is not the Nazi regime. We're not at war with them. They're supposedly, in some ways, allies of ours. And like, do the people of Saudi Arabia not get to laugh? Do they not get to go to comedy shows? Like they can't have a festival in their country where people come and enjoy comedians. We've seen before.
No, unless they're on giant Boeing planes that seemingly every resident owns one.
Right. But like, we've seen cultural outreach like this before have positive influences. Glenn and I were talking about this before off the air, and I checked it after Glenn. We talked about it. Billy Joel went over and did a concert in the Soviet Union. This was before the collapse. It was 4 years before the Soviet Union collapsed. Like, I'm not saying that it's probably no more high-minded than getting your bag. I get it, Bridget. But, like, isn't there a weird double standard when it comes to entertainers that they're supposed to somehow, I don't know, change the entire regime's mindset before they take a weekend gig? I don't understand it.
I like I said, I'm of many minds about this because I think that some of this, that's all absolutely true. And I don't blame really any of these people for taking the money and going. At the same time, you also have to understand that you are a useful idiot who's being used by a regime. But understand that. It's fine. I don't think it's the same as here's why I don't think it's the same as doing business, because business people are smart enough to be behind closed doors and do all of this stuff in Park City at secretive events where they all fly in on their private jets.
Right.
And entertainers are their face is their brand. Their jokes are their brand. Same with the golfers. Ultimately, you're an athlete, but you're also an entertainer. And I think that's why they get held to this unfair double standard, because they're actually quite poor compared to everyone else around them. These are court jesters for the kings, literally. Literally.
Well, I will tell you, the Jewish state could have put on a comedy festival and paid them the same amount of money, and I bet you almost all of those comedians would have turned it down because it's Israel.
I mean,
they would never do it. They would never do it for Donald Trump. If the government said, we're going to put on a comedy festival for the 250th anniversary, but you can't make fun of the religion or the founding or the Donald Trump family, they would never ever. They would cry bloody murder on that. And the last thing is, I am really sick of everybody else taking our culture and then giving us theirs. We seem to be taking all of the Saudi culture. We're to go ahead, go to little Somalia. I don't want that culture. I don't want it. You can keep that culture. You want to borrow some of ours and see and go, that's great. That's the difference with Billy Joel. He went over because they were starving for our culture. They wanted to be more like us.
Right.
They keep sending us all of their crap and saying, you take it. No, you keep your stuff. I'd like to keep ours. Bridget Phetasy, she is a Spectator contributing editor and columnist, a host of Walk-Ins Welcome and The Dumpster Fire, and just a dear, dear friend that I just absolutely love. Bridget, what's happening in your life? What is the thing that's grabbing your attention, or you feel compelled to share?
Oh man, the rise in, there's so much. I'm really concerned about this kind of rise in anti-Semitism. That's kind of what I think most obsessed with these days, and it seems to be getting worse. And I find it to be so crazy that it's like a supernatural force. So that's grabbed my attention. The Charlie Kirk thing, I think, was another. I was laughing before I came on because I was thinking every time I talk to Glenn, I'm like a little bit more red-pilled. I somehow moved like a little bit more to the right.
I know.
And I'm not sure the center's holding. This is another thing that I've been thinking a lot about and want to write about.
What does that mean?
I just don't, I haven't been able to articulate it, which is why I think I want to write about it. But I don't get this. Relationships that I've had, even in my family, that have managed to be okay through Trump, not Trump, the past decade really, are starting to fray. And people that I love, because I'm either pretty openly pro-Israel, or because I'm also now more openly pro-Republican, at least. Yeah, I think the center right is the new right. I think the center right is the new center. I think it used to be the center left, and I feel like it's shifted right. But it does feel like that two Americas. The Charlie thing really made that pretty evident to me, that there seem to be kind of the two Americas are really moving apart from one another more and more. And I'm seeing kind of the way centrists are trying to frame these things, and they're having a hard time because it's not, there's two versions of America that people seem to be trying to grapple with. And I find that building something with family, there's one that's more patriotic, more family oriented, more religious oriented, and the left, I'm not exactly sure what they stand for at the moment, and it does seem like it's more destructive. And I think more and more people are seeing that and feeling that.
Bridget, always good to talk to you. God bless you. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Bridget Phetasy, writer and stand-up comedian. You're welcome. Love you. Host of the podcast Walk-Ins Welcome. She has her YouTube program, Dumpster Fire and Real America. Bridget Phetasy.